So Shuoxin and I was like a kind of
colleague.
Yeah, know each other since 2013. We were kind of colleagues in the company. So I knew her because she makes electronic music back then in Beijing. So, and fast forward many years later, Shuoxin come to Germany to study music, and of course we have some like common interests, I guess, around like algorithmic music, computer music, and programming as such. And then we met Jia online. So there's like a Chinese social network website, and I think I'm posting one of the track I made, and Jia get in contact with me because she really liked the track, I think. And then I realized Jia was also in Germany, Karlsruhe. So I just tell Shuoxin we should have this like group in chat. So we opened this chat group in Telegram. Then we started talking about music, and then there come an opportunity to perform, I think. And then we started making music together slowly. I think that's how it just started, roughly.
Yes, I remind a point, maybe interesting too, because our work is, this piece is about field recording, and it reminds me that when I get to know Jia through the social network, and she showed me the first book is a book from Pierre Schaeffer. And Pierre Schaeffer is also a pioneer in France, and he set up an institute making concrete music. That is terminology from Pierre Schaeffer. So just some connection.
Yeah, right. Also, it's important. It was important for us that we all use SuperCollider, and it's very quick to get together and talking about how to write the code and what do you do with it. And we started reading Pierre Schaeffer and just having weekly discussion and try to do some network collaboration. So we know each other on the internet, and it's sort of our starting point that to collaborate on the net, so to say.
You want to start, Jia?
Okay, I start. I'm from Qingdao. It's a city of beer. I grew up there, and I've always played piano, and then I started to interested in composition, and I learned that from a composer and from a local composer. Then he recommended me to study composition, so I went to study composition first in Shanghai. I finished my bachelor study, then I want to study abroad and to see more stuff. And I came to Germany at 2015 and to start my composition study. And another master degree. And during my study of composition, I got interested in music informatics. That's another major at my school here in Karlsruhe. It's a city in Germany, South Germany. And I've got interested in music informatics. It's basically what has to do with computer and music. So live coding or electronic music is a thing. So because I know the live coding, so I'm interested to look around what's happening in the live coding scene. So I got to know Song because Song had a release on the Argo Rave Tokyo. So that's my background and how I know. So guess it's your turn. So
Yeah, I can start. So I was mainly I studied computer science in school in the uni, and I think towards the end of the study I was having some sound design course, and after the course the teacher was recommend some like a programming tool to making sound, and then that's how I started trying to get into, I guess, the generative music or coding, like programming, by making music by programming and by using text. And later on, after I moved to Beijing, I started to perform with local musicians, mostly improvised music. I think I was mostly making improvised music with different musicians for about 4 years in Beijing, with like a, I don't know, acoustic musician or electronic musician. And I was always using software, like mainly SuperCollider. And not always about live coding, but sometimes I do. And there's this release Jia mentioned that was released, I think, 2019. That was one of the like a very I guess algorithm piece where there's lots of like rhythmic study on with generative nature. And I think between that time I also collaborating with some musicians in Tokyo online. So that's how I first got involved in those kind of network music and got exposed to like 80s American computer music band such as The Hub, and which I think quite influenced on what we are doing right now. And I think that's basically me. And I met Shuoxin when I was in Beijing in the beginning, but we wasn't really making any music together the whole time, I think. But yeah, your turn, Shuoxin.
Okay, thank you. I make maybe a longer introduction of myself. I studied piano and violin since I was 3 years old, and also in the music academy in China. But later on, I go on with in the normal, so to speak, normal school. Yes, and then I still want to go on with sound. But that time I didn't realize what is my interest with sound. But I studied recording art, focused on electronic music production in the Communication University of China. And then I just go to work, have a job, and quit, and then have another job, and also make some electronic music and have some performances, but not so professional, not as my occupation, so to speak. And when I was working in Douban, I met Song, but Song was very shy, so I think we were colleagues in the same department, but we seldom talked with each other because we were very shy. But I know Song making computer music, electronic music, and performance, and composition and improvisation with instruments. Yes, and later on, since 2019, 2020, I start to study in Düsseldorf, but I live in Cologne because I think Cologne is my dream, my kind of destination. So I study sound and reality at the Robert Schumann Music Academy, and there is an institute of music and media, and my professor is one of the important contributor to SuperCollider. So there is bachelor in our institute, music and informatics. So I also study a little bit about SuperCollider, but I have to say, live coding is not my aim. Why I get involved into this kind of how to say
computer music, maybe.
Computer music, yeah. I want to say it's just a part of my my tool, and I realized in Germany I really get in touch with what I always have curiosity with music and with sound, and all the music I like in China, and because there is root here. So I think also because of the COVID lockdowns, they meet together, and it's a kind of solving problem because we all have desire to communicate. We also want to try something new, and we also have a curiosity about what is place, what is a space.
A question to computer scientists.
I was thinking Jia LIU would take it. Algorithm is just a set of rules or set of instruction, like generally speaking. But I think in our music, algorithm is the part in which we have three musicians, and when we're performing, when we change, what is our kind of musical gesture is kind of modifying the algorithm, which is simple rules like which message do you want to send? Do you want to send to Jia or Shuoxin? Or how many % of the message go to Shuoxin? How long do you wait? How long do you wait between each message? Because that's very important thing when the time of wait for generating the rhythm. So all this kind of thing we kind of live changing those kind of like numbers or patterns. That's what we mean by algorithm. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there is no one perfect definition of algorithm, but at the beginning, one of the first is maybe from Euler, even? No, that's maybe not true. But for example, finding a way to how do you say, given a number, for example 23, then we could find a solution to how to find the common, how to say, the factor of this number. Then we say, okay, maybe we try to do some calculation and blah, blah, blah. So in this way, algorithm is a solution or a function of how to find something out. But in our case, it's a bit mixed up. It must not be a function of to solve some problem. It could also be a function which creates problem. So it could be generative. So I think what Song says, the rules is a pretty good description of algorithm. Basically, to define what should do what and when should what happened. But this is what live music make it different, is that you change the rule on the fly.
Yeah.
You change the rule during obey them, and this is also one of the theme of Julian, Shuoxin's teacher.
Yeah, you change while you obey them. I forget how he said that, but you absolutely you react to your algorithm and then you change it, and while you change it, you think how that is, or you improve. Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes things even more interesting because the rules are not fixed. You can change it anytime you want, and could have an interesting development. And doing this with other people together at the same time in the network, making it even more interesting. So we need algorithm to define the basic rule of how we communicate, and we need the algorithm to define what we are doing now and how I react to the communication, how I react to others' message to me. If I receive a message, what do I do? How do I react? Should I wait or should I send a message back? So all of this could be abstracted to an algorithm. So, yes.
I think that's very interesting for any kind of collaboration, like bands.
I think it's a kind of structure. They need to talk about some background, how come out this idea, then come to the structure, then come to this algorithm. I think this is the right order to introduce this algorithm thing. Because like Jia said, algorithm is kind of solution to the problem, and which algorithm they choose depends on what kind of idea, what kind of concept they have. And they have an interest with kind of topological structure from a psychological theorist called Jacques Lacan, and this three rings node called Bohemian ring, and they got this inspiration for, so to speak, this algorithm that we can, theoretically we come to the idea, and another come from a pioneer of network computer music in the USA. They call the hub, that they use all kind of hardware and hacking the hardware, and they make a live performance, not play their own instrument, but they play others' instruments using network. That is also the important inspiration for our project. So we write the whole system in the SuperCollider, and we use algorithm to set up, try to work out this structure that we can, in this virtual space, in the virtual system, we can also work composition or improvisation like the hub, that we send message to the other one, and to make other one decide other one's sound, not ourselves, so to speak.
Well, I guess Livia's question is not directly to algorithm. It's not like we have sort of some algorithm to sort certain material away and to gather some for us. It's maybe at the first place more about communication and to kind of make it into sound and have the sound in mind to communicate. But concretely in this project, we do have some material that we gathered, and as you could hear, we have different field recordings from our cities, and sometimes they're almost like a selecting process, but not quite. Most of the time we have in mind what material there are could be used, and but sometimes there's also some selecting random process, so to say. But the material themselves are what we prepared for this project, and I guess there is no material that we all want to take away, so we would just leave it out before the performance.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, but we do have things where I guess we don't agree on certain thing. I guess it's kind of like going through everyone's filter. You need to discuss. That's why I think we have also meeting. That's how we collaborate with the discussion and why this doesn't work. And then through that, I guess we choose the one. Yeah, there always be question of like, I don't really like that part, or I don't like this recording, I don't want to use that.
Yeah.
Do you have a general sense of division of labor, or do you consider each other like playing an equal part in this ensemble?
I didn't quite.
Yeah. Mabu is asking, do we think we have like an equal part in the three of us in the ensemble? I don't think so. I think everyone has different things to contribute, like different aspects.
Yeah, then what is the division of labor in?
Yeah, it's interesting to talk. Yeah, the equalness, does it mean that everyone have the same right? Yes. But the equal to say everyone do the same thing? No. So it's always being in the communication, right? I think this is what I love about our project, it is about communication itself at first. So I would say it's quite equal, but depends on sometimes who has more time to doing certain stuff or gathering material, and as long as, for example, well-educated computer scientist, of course he would do more programming work on the communication structure of us, and then we would have discussion, and he would explain, and we would contribute to the ideas, stuff like this. So it's
I think that's more like implementation. Maybe because I write more code, maybe I'm more comfortable implementing things, so I think I do more on that side. But maybe it's when we do like the concept is maybe more same. I don't know. So that goes back to the system review. Actually, I think in the beginning the piece wasn't have any field recording. It's purely generative sound, like the sine oscillator, very simple noise, and those kind of sound. And we have this structure of the communication, the so-called algorithm, how this influence each other, and how everyone can perform with their computer, with changing the algorithm and changing the pattern, and come up with a piece. And later on, I think we were always interested in field recording as a group. We did some network working, like working together live with recording mixed together. We did some experiment with that. And then I think came up a time we tried to put the recorded sound in our system. I think that's how this piece come about. Yeah, kind of the choice of the sound is also kind of about the network, about the transportation system, urban system, communication. So we kind of choose that deliberately. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to start to explain what makes this piece particular. Is to talk about what would make it not particular. It's we're basically using the same system we're always playing with. That's like a communication system, so it's based on messaging. So each one could send message to others, and every time this happened, there would be some sound come out, and we would decide how does it sound like, and the network provides the time base of this communication. So I could say in half a second I want to send Shuoxin a message, but maybe it wouldn't wouldn't arrive in half a second because of some network delay. So this is also an interesting layer. And so we have the system, and we played in the beginning, and actually last year, almost at the same time, we had a concert which curated by Edward Sanderson. And we were rehearsing in a bunker place in the Hong Kong New Baptist University. During our rehearsal, because Edward wanted to show some liveness of the concert, so he also put his camera on and show us how's the situation. And it's a very nice scene there. And the interesting thing is we also hear what's in the space, and the birds, and the trees, the wind. And it was a very nice experience. And at some point, I guess he forgot his charger, and he just took us with his laptop and going to his office and showing around. And that was a really nice experience for us. So the space is different. It's the question, okay, which space are we in now? All of us are at home, and Edward is at the university and walking around and moving. And the sound, we all hear the sound from our own room, and Edward maybe hear the open space, but also the weird sound we are making and the nature. So I guess that's a inspiration for me, because we were before in this abstract room of computer music or electronic music. Everything is so pure and absolutely without any other things, and it's very clean. But this experience made me also realize the mix of the this our pure sound and the environmental sound. And I think there's also some connection here. And this year, last year, we wanted to make. And there's another thing we're interested in is the train. We wanted to basically make a project with train. So we thought about maybe we could perform on the train, and because we could be using the network on the train, and it's very unstable, and since that's our performing nature, it would be interesting to play with that. But then the winter COVID hit again, so it's becoming complicated to do this kind of stuff again. So we thought, okay, maybe we can still stick on the theme, but using the recording of transporting system or this network in like other networks in real life, such as trains, such as subway, tram system, buses, or door opening, closing, mailbox, sort of things like that.
We forgot to mention the numbers. Yes, last interview we talked about for everything we communicate with numbers. That is a good point. Also another answer to Livia's question, how we use our algorithm and deal with our material, field recording material. Also, like Jia said, this in preparation for this piece is about field research in different places in our own cities, like some place like train station also, and we collect some field recording materials, but we still use our number controlled communication system to use numbers to to select material. Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, what Shuoxin is saying is the primary system we're using is not like we're sending each other how to say that a definition of a synthesis, but we predefine a lot of things, but to give it a range of playing, and we just send each other basically just number, we communicate through the number. If I say, I send this message to 2 and wait, that's all kind of number. But parallel, we always also having a chat channel going on, so we could basically also communicate with language, but it's a separate, it's almost a separate layer from the sound. And actually in this project we added a bit like a labeling system, that so we're labeling the material of the field recording and calling them with a simple label, like for example like train.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting because that's more than number. That's give you like semantic thing on top of the, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was also thinking. Why is that different? But I guess it must be using headphone and using speak in space has different. I can't tell which way is different, but it must be certain frequencies is more. I feel maybe the reverberation of the space changing it. Like in different places you listen to the same thing will never be the same. For our work, especially, I guess for any work, like when we're performing it and when you listen back, it will be somewhat different, because when you performing it, you're listening to slightly different thing. Yeah, I guess because you need to focus some of the mind in the changing and reacting to. I think when the one is finished, when the performance was finished, and you listen back, you will find different details, I think. But that's about I guess, the mind of performing will be different. I guess hearing here with the speaker, I guess that's more acoustic. It does feel very different from when I listen at home.
Can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
How does it sound like? Is it different though between the exhibition and in auto? Because there we also have the using our speaker.
Yeah, I think it's different. I mean, it's different in a degree. Maybe here, I don't know, your body is more closer to the speaker. I think I try to figure out why, but I think the way we're using also like a very primitive oscillator will make a difference because the space are like reflections and stuff. Even I turn my head left or right will change the sound. I think that's a very important point because the way will reflect, diffuse, things like that in the tiny space will be more of that. I think that wouldn't be exist with the headphone. Shuoxin, do you want to say?
Yes, we have concrete next step actually because we have maybe our name will from this home become to another symbol. Yes, because we got a new member, not new member, also new member, also new member. Yes, and we will study. And also study a new theory about that is also in about mathematics, about category theory, and we will try to apply this category theory in computer music, so to speak. That is also a communication between different languages, but for us it always deal with algorithm or more primary deal with numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, before that, also very strongly related to this project, we have a release, maybe on May 2022 on SuperCollider, and is it even the same track? So, or is
I think a different one. I think that's one live recording from Cafe Auto. Yeah, and then there's another track which we made last summer, like 2 tracks. That's where it will be released May this year.
Yeah, and what Shuoxin just mentioned is a new project, maybe even a new project of not just us, also with a new. I don't know, it's a new member or it's a new ensemble. It's still open, so we're trying to do some stuff with category theory. So it's still very new. We don't know yet.
I have a question. Hi. I'm not so familiar with the work because I just came 10 minutes before. So I only heard it. So it's a recording of a performance, is that right?
Yeah, you can say that. We kind of perform it at home. I guess it's like a... Yeah, we kind of perform and record that. Yeah, kind of.
Because I was
We didn't play it live.
Yeah, it's live as in no change in the audio itself, but there's no audience.
Okay.
Yeah, we perform at like a room.
It's not a production, it's a recording.
But there's no like a... Yeah, we didn't change any of the things. Once it finished, it's done. Like,
Because I was wondering about the duration of it, like how that was decided.
The whole duration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for us that's always a bit mystery. I think we have some idea how long that could be. I would say like 20 minutes to 40 minutes, and then.
But then we would just let it go.
Yeah. I think maybe sometimes we have a certain structure and how it ends, but then when that happens, we just let it happen. I think.
Yes, because this piece based on our system. So this piece is between composition and live improvisation. So it so the time depends on how depends on our rule of play, our system.
Yeah, there are war time will be much less. I think sometimes we when we rehearse or when we try to record something, sometimes it can go like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, but sometimes much less.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's I guess improvisation. Yeah, because sometimes we have kind of idea of each part, how that part is, but then when you perform, that part can end up being very long because everyone was. I have to say, I guess everyone has the right to end it. I think everyone can click the button and end it. I think.
Okay.
But everyone can restart it. Yeah. Yeah.
So did you record it a few times, or was it just one?
I think this was one of the maybe 2 or 3. I can't remember.
Yeah, sometimes we don't record.
Yeah, but I think this was one of the 3 we did in one day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, recording isn't a big deal here because it's not like we're an acoustic jazz band and we always need a rehearsing room, and once we need to record, we maybe need to move to a studio or borrow fancy recording devices. But our recordings just hit the record button, and that's our electronic musical nature, I guess.
I'm just going to ask one more thing, because I think you had mentioned Pierre Schaeffer earlier. You said you were reading him. Were you taking things from the text to apply to what you were doing, or was it just, what will you get?
I mean, in the beginning, we are not just doing a network project together, we also is kind of like a little study group or a reading group. We just enjoy reading together and having discussion and having comments on the thing. And I guess the most important thing we've got from the book and from Schaeffer himself is the thing about Musik concrète, or about listening. I don't know how to explain. Maybe from the Musik concrète tradition it's more about dealing with sound as a sound object, so to say. So you may have to take the sound from somewhere, from some spaces, so to say, and then you could deal with it maybe as a compositional material or a musical object. And I think there are maybe some other influence, but it's not very direct.
Yeah, I can't see any very direct. Maybe because we're labeling. I think that's come from Pierre Schaeffer, the way you categorize things, the sound you have, like a library that.
But this, yes, I understand what you mean. But for Pierre Schaeffer, he had this ambition to categorize all the sound effects with all kind of definitions. But he failed at last, and his very ambitious about his research with the sound, with the music education, because he wants to write this book, Musical Objects, to make a revolution of the music education. So he is also very self-critical about his own definition of Musik concrete. That is what I find very interesting.
It just came in mind that maybe could be interesting. The other point that he mentioned, you mentioned this educational perspective, and he had a chapter in the book. I think it's called also No Man's Land. It's also like Julia's seminar's name. So he's saying that musicians are also seeking the potential of development or inspiration from other area, maybe science and mathematics. And that's obviously also what we are interested in. That could be it.
Yes, that is also very contradictory, because in GARCIA's background there comes new technology of sound. GARCIA makes a lot of radio drama, and he comes with this new definition of Musik concrete also because of this new technology, with tape music, with electronic music studio, tape music studio. So that is also very critical, that art and technology, music and technology, is there a balance, or who control, who take advantage of another? Always resistance, insistence,
resistance.
Resistance, yeah.
Yeah, the resistance, the Spannung, the resistance between art and science, basically, I guess. Just in this project, we came to mind that maybe this time we don't show the visual layer, just sound, to be a bit more.
I think every time we perform, we have this discussion of whether to put any visual at all. I think that will have different impact, but this time we choose to do that.
Yes, I think it is also another aspect of our research of computer music, because it is about aesthetic of computer music. Like Jia said, everyone, when they use SuperCollider or other live coding softwares, always show their code on the screen, but we have another aesthetic of computer music. But we try it every time. We try different way, but I always think we are doing art, a kind of art. This is also a resistance about the technology. Although we use technology, but we use technology to do art. I always think the aesthetic comes when something behind the curtain, like something behind the curtain makes this thing more more I can't find the word, and so also this kind of behind of curtain took from pedagogic lecture. He makes this advanced lecture behind the curtain, and Pierre Schaeffer takes this story like part of his acoustic listening, that people can't see anything, just to listen to the sound. It's also like something behind the curtain, and you can only use your ears to perceive and to decide trust or not to trust what you hear.
Yeah, this is again a good point of to prove to show the tension between art and technology or science. What is communication in the end? It is the sound we're hearing, or it is the signal on the halfway that we could already see but not heard yet. And this is still all very open, I think. We sometimes also don't know.